The mantle of the Black Panther has served as the protector of Wakanda for generations, with each new warrior to take up the title being tasked with the responsibility of protecting their people from invaders. This hero of Wakanda is as old as the nation itself, serving as a symbol and protector for the people who lived within the bounds of Wakanda as their most sacred emblem. Over the years, dozens of unique warriors have taken on the responsibility of the Black Panther, serving their people while putting their own unique identity into the lineage of this legendary warrior. But while we've seen several iterations from across the years, who was the first warrior to utilize this mantle? Who was the first Black Panther? Well, stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we discuss exactly that. Mild spoilers for Wakanda Forever lie ahead, as today we will be discussing the first Black Panther ever. In the latest MCU entry, several characters reference the story of Bashenga and refer to him as the first Black Panther. So, let's dive into the full story of a warrior king named Bashenga, the first to bring the tribes together and unite the people of Wakanda under one king. Before the nation of Wakanda, there existed a panther tribe of warriors who resided in the region which would one day come to be known as Wakanda. In the MCU, we understand that there were once 5 individual tribes who were brought together by this one distinct individual. Before we understand the story of Bashenga, however, we must first understand the legacy of a warrior named Mosi, who predated the first Black Panther. Mosi lived around 100 million BC, and was best known as the first to be favored by Bast, the panther goddess herself. Though Mosi was not a king, he was the first to be granted her blessing to harness the power of the heart-shaped herb. Though he was not the first to consume the heart-shaped herb, he was the first to be granted the powers of the Black Panther at the behest of Bast and her avatars, and he henceforth worked as a servant of his tribe and his people. He was empowered by a primal energy that existed within the core of the universe, and he defended his people from not only foreign tribes who sought to conquer his own, but threats that went far beyond the scope of humanity itself. Shortly after the Great Vibranium meteor made landfall, ruptures in space began to bring enemies to Earth from across the galaxy as a result, calling to the likes of the Brood and the warriors of the 9 realms alike. Upon facing cosmic threats far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered, the Black Panther stepped up to defend his people from invaders, even coming into contact with Odin Borson of Asgard, who commended the tribal leader for his power and prowess. Odin even said that never before had he been so impressed by a mere mortal, calling him unusually intelligent and a gifted leader, and Mosi became one of the most integral members of the Stone Age Avengers. Not only was he an incredibly formidable force on the battlefield, but he was the second individual to ever wield the legendary warhammer known as Mjolnir, with the first only being Odin himself. He carried this iconic weapon with him into battle several times, and used his power to defend the Earth from rogue celestials and threats from across the 9 realms, before ultimately being defeated in battle against the children of Laufey. While he served his people for years, the death of this great warrior ultimately led the tribe into disbanding, and became the catalyst for Wakanda's inherent isolationist nature. They decided that if threats were going to travel across the galaxy chasing vibranium, then they in turn would keep it hidden from the rest of the world. But the legend of Mosi would not soon be forgotten. These 5 tribes lived among each other, and though they were largely uncooperative and isolationist in their own right, they shared a common goal, which was to keep vibranium safe from both this world as well as any other. This directly leads us into the story where we hear T'Chaka telling a young T'Challa in the MCU's depiction of the Black Panther storyline. He states that a warrior shaman united these 5 tribes and brought them together as the first king of Wakanda. And thanks to Wakanda Forever, we know that this individual to be Bashenga, the first king of Wakanda, and just the second to be favored by Bast as well as her avatars. After the death of Mosi, he believed that the same energies as brought to Earth all those years ago were not done, and he had reason to believe that there were fissures in space that had called to the warriors beyond, and they would soon return. He traced this call back to the mysterious meteorite, and began to search for a way to harness this energy, creating weapons and tools that had the capacity to absorb and disperse kinetic energy. For years, he sought a way to protect his people, and he believed that this mysterious resource held the key to his quest. This search led him to the first versions of refined vibranium, the precursor to one of the most powerful materials known in the Marvel Universe. It was here, in the mouth of the volcano, that he forged the Great Vibranium Mound, which he crafted into 2 weapons. The first of which was the legendary sword known as Skybreaker, which served as an heir heirloom to the royal family for hundreds of years and was passed down from one king to the next. He used this vibranium weapon to unite and defend his people, and this sword was studied by monarchs throughout the ages, being used to expand and develop Wakanda's technological capabilities. This one artifact is largely responsible for the rapid expansion and understanding of Wakandan technology and innovation, being the first artifact to utilize refined vibranium metal. The second weapon forged at this location was the Spear of Bashenga, his own personal weapon which served alongside him throughout the duration of his reign as king, soon becoming a sacred symbol of the Wakandan royal family. In the comic line, this was the warrior to unite the 5 tribes, and is most likely who T'Chaka is referring to in his story. And it was this warrior king who began the nation which would soon grow to become the single most powerful country in the world. His spear continues to serve as the symbol of Wakandan royalty and the legacy of Bashenga, and is passed down as well, though instead of serving as a scientific relic to be studied, it acts as a cultural relic with immense significance to the people of Wakanda. The Spear of Bashenga has been held by kings all the way down to T'Challa himself, and this emblem of cultural iconography has become synonymous with not only the monarchy of Wakanda, but the title of the Black Panther. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of the first Black Panthers and the story of Wakanda as not told in the MCU? Do you think that this story happened the same way in the MCU? Or do you think that they took liberties along the way? Or does it line up in your mind perfectly with T'Chaka's claim? Also, what are your thoughts on the first 2 warriors to be blessed by the goddess Bast? And where do you think Black Panther will go from here? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and we'll hopefully see you in the next video.